What's up, guys? cozymaximalist here. Guys, it's a great day. It's Sunday. I'm coming at you guys here with a fantasy beginner's guide. This has been something that's actually been requested by a few different people now at this point, which is a pretty hilarious thing to say because I've just kind of been winging it with this fantasy content. But guys, as you've heard me saying over and over again, I really think that this is the next big thing that's coming down the pike with regard to crypto and you know, just the whole CT community and everything. And this is going to catch soon. We're at a critical juncture here, right, where the testnet seems to be wrapping up and mainnet version of fantasy is going to be coming soon. So I think that this is about as good a time as any to go through, guys, here and take a look at the close to as finalized version as I estimate we're going to see before we touch down on ETH mainnet coming here soon. So guys, this is a big day. We've got the desktop version that we're coming to you here. I feel like this would maybe be an easier way for us to get a sense of just kind of what goes into fantasy, because some of you, like I said, just don't really have a sense of what it is, how to play, what heroes are, and what's kind of like coming down the line here. So I just want to run through all of that for you guys here today. And hopefully when you walk away from this video, you'll have everything that you need in your toolbox to be able to sign up for the testnet version and be ready for when mainnet comes here soon. That's all we know is soon, but I'm hoping soon is, hey, maybe this week, maybe start of next week. That would be epic. So let's run through here. Let's just start. We gotta, I think, always operationalize, right? We gotta kind of define our terms, as it were. So what is fantasy? Well, fantasy is a game that was built on top of the Blast Ethereum layer 2. Now, you may or may not be familiar with Blast, right? Blast was launched by Pac-Man, who's actually also the creator of Blur, which was a kind of a revolutionary NFT marketplace that came out and really was one of the main introducers of the points meta, right? And so Blast, when it came out, building on top of Ethereum, offering a kind of like secondary opportunity for people to introduce scalability, lower fees, all of those things onto Ethereum. Blast was launched as sort of the ultimate gamified version of a layer 2 on Ethereum, right? And so some of the things that are important to know about Blast are that by bridging over your ETH to Blast, you earn two different things. Now, this is separate to fantasy, but it's still intrinsic because it's an app built on top of Blast, right? So you can see right here, you're actually going to earn points, which are based on the amount of ETH or stable coins that you bridge based on. Right, so I'm a total minnow, guys. I've got barely any ETH bridged over right now because I've basically spent it all on Insert, which is like a gambling app. I've had a lot of fun with it. Haven't won anything big, but I did get some Blast Gold, which I'll explain in just a second here. So Blast points are basically offered to you, like I said, based on the amount of ETH or stable coins that you bridge over, and then you earn them on the hour. And Blast Gold is offered, it's basically given away in allocations to different protocols on the Blast network. And the way that it works is that gold is given away by the team to different protocols that basically do a good job of embodying the core principles of Blast, right? So Blast has kind of two main features, maybe you would say, right? One is the native yield that they offer on all bridged ETH and stable coins, right? Which you can kind of see here is actually the automatic yield which you're getting. So if you bridge over any ETH, it's earning 3.2% just automatically, that auto rebases. And it also, on your stable coins, you're getting 13% yield, which is one of kind of the key kind of features of Blast. Another is that they actually offer gas refunds. So the protocol can choose to either use that gas refund that the layer 2 offers them to just refund their users for their gas, or to just kind of take that as an extra income source for them, whatever they decide to do. But apps that do a good job of that and really capture a lot of users in popularity are going to be getting these kind of generic, or not generic, they're going to be getting these in turn gold allocations that are in line with how well they do utilizing that and and taking advantage of it, right? Okay, we're back on track. We're back on track. So you can see here, I used Insert app, right? And it got 224,000 gold. And just for, spending, I think I've spent maybe about like 0.1.15 ETH, something like that. I got a certain amount of points, but gold, which gold is just worth like way more than points. And so Fantasy actually came about as an app that was built on top of Blast for while they were in production, while the layer 2 was in production, they did a contest called the Big Bang Competition, the Big Bang Tournament, something like that. And they had a bunch of mentors, and they basically had a very competitive protocol battle, right, that all of these devs took on. And Fantasy was one of the winners of this competition. So they themselves, even though they haven't launched on mainnet, actually have a 63,000 Blast Gold allocation that they're going to be sharing with users. So that's something good to know, is that for everything that you do on top of Fantasy, it's good to know what you're doing on Blast, because you're going to be at the same time farming a Fantasy airdrop, or at least farming Fantasy tokens when it launches on mainnet, while also farming a Blast airdrop, which is going to be coming here next month in May. And then there I will imagine be more seasons, because that has been the case on Blur as well. So I know that's a lot of background before we even get into Fantasy, but guys, I just wanted to give you that background on Blast and on kind of why it's worth it maybe, and what a sense of that incentive alignment is that Blast is so good at, by aligning users and protocol builders and Blast team itself all in the same direction using incentives. The same is true of Fantasy. So how do you play this game? What is it? So Fantasy is actually built on top of, in a sense, both Blast and crypto Twitter right now, right? There's a lot of applications that it could be used for on Twitter more broadly, but basically this utilizes the engagement metrics of different influencers, what they call heroes, on Twitter, and it turns it into a gamified score, right? So we can see this here, right? The number one hero right now is Ansem, who is truly goated and the main character of this cycle. And so his fan score is 1,000, which I think is as high as it can go. Now, this is the amount of, funny money Testnet ETH that's been traded on his card, right? So these heroes become basically trading cards, and you can see the sales, the floor, the amount of tweets that he's had in a given time frame, the average views on his tweets, but then this, which is maybe one of the most important metrics, his reach percentage, right? Which I think that all of this, the way that the Fantasy score is generated, is based off of essentially taking your followers, the amount of followers that you have relative to the amount of engagement in some kind of algorithm that the team has worked out, where you are then scored based off of both like how viral you are and how kind of like good of a job you're doing engaging, or really your followers are doing engaging with you based off of how good a content you put out. So what this means is that, as you can see here, right, like Block Grays with 37,000 followers, he can be crushing it in terms of engagement, have an 897 score, and be leading Greg, who has almost 800,000 followers. So it gives smaller accounts like, a Paul Grani versus a DB a chance to kind of get in the game and be valuable in that way. So a lot of these will be familiar faces for you, right? Balaji, 𝐁𝐄𝐆𝐈𝐃𝐄, Pigeon, like these are names that if you're on crypto Twitter, you probably recognize them. And if you don't, you're going to want to learn them to try and dive in to get a sense for who kind of these players, these characters, these heroes are that you're going to be trying to collect and play. So, okay, what is the kind of like main thrust of Fantasy? What do? Well, you want to collect a 5-man lineup that you're going to be starting in tournaments, right? So tournaments are basically like these competitions where you pit your best 5, right? Your best starting 5, as it were, against other players' best starting 5s. Now, Fantasy has actually gotten pretty advanced, right? They've captured a lot of daily active users during this launch period, where they've been around for about 2.5 months or so here by now. And basically, I think they're between like 30 and 40,000 DAU right now, which is pretty epic. And the different leagues that they've broken things down into, basically you can think of it like League of Legends leagues, right? Like based off of how well you perform, are determinant of who you're playing against. And if you score in the top 30% of your league, right? So if you're in the bottom league, if you score in the top 30%, during a main tournament, you'll move up to the next tier of tournament competition, and you'll get to keep moving up and up and up from there, right? That's the goal. And you'll get better prizes, better rewards from there. So for instance, in this last main tournament that we had, I started a Moon Overlord, a Lucas, an Elan, myself, which I know is maybe controversial, but at least I know that I'm going to be a consistent poster, and a Brian Pellegrino. So, who's the founder of Layer Zero, Elan, the creator of Pump.Fun, Lucas, one of the best posters around, and Moon, one of the best, I would say, promoters of ordinals, which is a huge space that I'm active in. So that was kind of my lineup that I went to bat with. Something you might be noticing here, right, is that there's different kind of colored cards in the background with these little notations here. So as you can see, cards, this is the hero score, which is the aggregate of your tournament output, is going to be the adding up of your 5 different hero scores that you start in a particular lineup, right? So for instance, I had 1391 plus 1274 plus 991 plus my Cozy score and my Brian Pellegrino score. And that was my aggregate that I was putting up against all of the other teams that were in my league, which, humble brag, is the top league, right? I've been in that for a while now because I've been playing pretty hard, man. I've been getting after it. And so, yeah, that's kind of where things lie in terms of how you play. Some of the nuances from there, right? So something you might notice, like I said, is these backgrounds. So the different cards that you get of different influencers start off at a green background, which is a common. And the common, so like for instance here, 𝐁𝐄𝐆, who's I also think one of the best posters on the site, on Twitter, he has a 727, maybe what you would call a base hero score here, right? But if I collected 5 𝐁𝐄𝐆 cards, then I would have the opportunity to actually burn all 5 of those 𝐁𝐄𝐆 commons to turn it into a rare 𝐁𝐁, right? And so what that would do for me is essentially give me the ability to have this 𝐁𝐁, his 727 hero score, count for me at a 1.5 rate. So I would have, a little over, it would probably be like 1,077 points that I would be getting off of 𝐁𝐁. Just like with my Cozy here then, for instance, you can tell that since I'm getting a 1.5 bonus here, that my actual hero score is somewhere in the, probably like 600s or something like that, right? And then that is being added onto it because I have the 1.5 multiplier. And same goes for epics, where you collect 5 rares, you upgrade into an epic, which gives you a ×2 point bonus there. And then vice versa, for epics, you collect 5 of those, and then you get a legendary card, which is going to be a 2.5 times points multiplier. So that's kind of like how your points in tournaments go, and it's going to then also incentivize people to go down chain on the marketplace, right, which is visible here, to be able to hunt for and flip cards that people are looking for to get that 5 to be able to upgrade their card to the next level. So you're at the same time as you're trying to perform in different tournaments that are ongoing, you're also going to be going after these cards just for the sake of as if they were an NFT or a meme coin, right? You're just out there and you can play the marketplace to try and hustle and be trading at the same time. Because as I've said, even though right now we're trading with, just kind of funny money, right? And my portfolio value is 32.19 ETH, right? That's not real actual ETH that I have right now. But when we get to mainnet, people will be loading up their wallets, and this will be the real deal money that will be happening and changing hands and everything, which is going to be exciting to see happen. So when you start up yourself, you'll actually be given, if it's still on Testnet when you get a hold of this, something on the order of like 2.5 Testnet ETH that you'll be able to use to build out a lineup. I will say it's unclear right now whether there's going to be any more tournaments on the Testnet version, because I do think that it seems like we're getting really close to deploying on mainnet soon, which is exciting. So then you'll have to take everything that I'm saying here with a grain of salt, because really what you'll be doing is loading up your lineup to get yourself set and ready to go for the real deal, which I'm sure will have a few small changes, but this will still be applicable enough for you to really get your feet under you getting started here, right? So maybe a few things you're wondering are like, how do I go about like trying to build an optimal lineup? Some of the things to think about, right, are people that are going to be very consistent posters, but also people, you want to balance that with this idea of you want to think about people that have the potential to be viral in the given time frame of a tournament. So what I mean when I say that, here's something you can look at. Okay, maybe not there. Let's see if we can get okay, good. Here we go. Here's a view on past tournaments, right? So what it doesn't give us is a sense of like the time frame of everything that we're looking at, like over how long these different tournaments took place. But what we can see is the different types of tournaments that come out, right? So for instance, most recently we had Game 5 for me in League 1, where I placed 182nd out of 1,000. I've placed as high as 19 of 1,000 in Game 2. Game 3, 79, decent. A common blitz where I just threw together a really crappy lineup. I placed 18,000 out of 19,000 players. But still, we've been pretty competitive in the main tournaments and just kind of like throwing together a lineup in the different ones. You can see here the different types of variations of tournaments that are going to be happening. For instance, an NFT PFP tournament, right? Where that's going to be all cards that you have to start can only be ones that have an NFT profile picture, right? Whereas here in the uncommon flash, that's going to denote the rarity that you can use. So sometimes maybe there will be only common cards that you can use, sometimes only rares, and so on and so forth. So the main tournaments are unlimited of who you can start. You can start any rarity. You just try and start the best cards possible. So that's really the goal there. So when you're going about this, you just want to be hunting on the marketplace for cards that you think are undervalued relative to the production of fantasy scores, engagement, virality that they can generate for you when they're going in your lineup, or that are undervalued relative to what they should be worth on the marketplace, which you're just going to have to get a feel for yourself because it's always evolving with regard to supply and demand. But yeah, thinking about whether they're undervalued in another person's eyes so that you can make a quick flip and try to get some more ETH to go after whatever the actual cards are that you want to build up your lineup. So you might be wondering at this point, okay, there's all these tournaments that are happening and everything. What am I actually in this for in the first place? Outside of the Blast airdrop, which I'm going to be a part of as well, right? So there's sort of three different components. One are fan points. Fan points are a fantasy-specific point system that we're generating for, which are going to have some regard with a token drop that Fantasy is going to be doing, I think, soon after going to mainnet. So that'll be happening, I don't think in a direct one-to-one correlation, but in some sort of, it seems, a linear fashion. Players will be rewarded tokens based off of the amount of fantasy points that they've accrued during their time playing over Testnet. And it's perhaps possible that there will still be fan points during the actual mainnet version to continue earning tokens. Or maybe you'll just actually earn the tokens themselves from playing in tournaments. That probably makes more sense, but who knows what will actually happen. Tickets, it was just released recently, I think. I just saw this in the Telegram, actually this morning, that I think that tickets are going to actually have a play. They're called like monthly lottery tickets, I think is what they're called. Here, we can take a look. If you go over to the profile, they're called monthly lottery tickets, and then diamonds are season lottery tickets. And I think that that's going to be what determines the Blast gold allocations that you get are going to come from tickets. I don't exactly know the mechanisms of how that's going to play out here, but that's something that you're going to be competing for too, is again, remember those Blast specific rewards that are going to be up for grabs. And then the final thing is through tournaments, you're going to be able to get more cards through these tournaments to be able to use in your lineups or to sell and flip, which at that time will be for real money. I mean, it will be real market values of these cards, of which we don't know what that will actually be. Something likely a good deal smaller than the testnet versions, but still could be very substantial values. So all this is to say that for as much as I think this game is so fun, I also think that if you're someone that has at all a knack for Twitter and posting and just loves to follow the timeline, this could be a great money-making opportunity for you. This could really be huge. I know for myself, someone who's just kind of like a crypto Twitter head, but has never really been able to maybe profit off of this. This is going to be a way for people to really just dive in and I think have both a great time playing the game, but also potentially profiting from the game if you can really just get after it and try your best. So when you launch off here, one of the things that you'll actually see if you were to start a brand new Testnet account is that you'll get something actually very similar to this. I don't know if you're going to get the lottery tickets like this, but you definitely get some Testnet ETH to start off with, along with some fantasy points. I think a very small amount, something like 1,000. We'll claim our 49,000 fan points right there, which is going to boost us up over to just under 650,000 fan. You know, it's not as much as some people, but I feel pretty good about where we're sitting with fan points right now. I've been on this, honestly, for probably about 2 months and really just been, guys, having so much fun with it, both as a player and as actually, you know, a hero myself. I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about heroes in just a second here. So let's open up my pack here, because this is really a key component of fantasy, are the trading cards, which come in packs. Right, so this is one thing I'll touch on. Something new is that actually packs have just introduced a new mechanism, which is called a 𝐷RGDA system, which I think was created by Paradigm, which is I think a venture firm, and they have some really big gigabrains over there. And so they came up with this idea where basically it's a running, I think, modified Dutch auction that's going to set what is presumably a fair market price for these packs every day. So right now they're really expensive. They're 2.5 ETH, but that's kind of what the market is theoretically determining as the actual value of a pack. So like I said, when you join for a first time and when you're competing in tournaments, you'll be able to get these packs like I did for being in this most recent main tournament. So we'll open it up and you can get a sense for what kind of the UI looks like and how things work out here, what this kind of even just the animation and graphics look like. Something you'll notice here is that actually, if you're still on the Testnet, the wallet that we're using is actually separate from the Testnet ETH, which you use to operate in the marketplace. And so to get a hold of and fund your Testnet wallet, assuming there are more tournaments and that's needed for you, the process to do that, join the Fantasy Telegram, log into the general chat, and then just type in /Sepolia, SEPOLIA, and you will be able to get Sepolia ETH, like a guide on how to get it from a Testnet faucet, and then to send it to a wallet that you control. Mistakes were made in a wallet that I control, but don't make a mistake. Send it to a wallet that you control, and then you send it to this Testnet wallet, and you'll be able to operate with it from there. So you can see I've got like more than enough to be able to manage all of the actual Testnet transactions which are happening, which are separate from the marketplace transactions. But in the future, this will all be the same. So that's good to know. So let's open this pack here. I love the pack animation. I actually don't know if I've ever seen it on desktop, so let's see if it's the same. Click in. Oh, yep, there it is. A little wiggle, a little jiggle, a little shake. Here we go. Let's see if we got anything good, guys. I'm not... Okay, a 𝐁𝐄𝐆𝐈𝐃𝐄, that's fine. Ooh, Pac-Man. I actually think that Pac-Man could be super solid as a timing-based play, because he has some real catalysts, right, with different things that are blast or blur related, where you know if, say, an announcement is coming up, he could be a great start in your lineup because he's really going to get a ton of views and engagement relative to other cards. And then an integrated Kyle, I think that's Kyle Samani from maybe Multicoin Capital, I think that's right. Ooh, and a rare Gleb. That's actually a great pull. Rare Gleb is actually one of the best pulls that I've had. He actually would probably crack my lineup. I think that he would be a stronger fifth man in my main tournament lineup than Brian Pellegrino would actually be. So that's actually clutch, and he probably sells for a fair amount. Yeah, like 15 ETH on the open market, although I can't imagine that he actually would go for that much, but still, that's a crazy floor. Wow, that's a great pull there from another great poster and trader, the 𝐁𝐄𝐆𝐈𝐃𝐄 himself, 𝐁𝐄𝐆. So that's super strong. So you get a feel there for what opening packs is like. Guys, it's one of the most addicting parts of playing fantasy, so I think that people are going to have a lot of fun with it. I know that in just the few videos that I've made, I've had a lot of fun messing around with packs. So I think I've covered just about everything on the user end. I want to just touch real briefly here on what it means to be a hero, just so that you kind of have a sense for that. Maybe you're a smaller account that's a user and that's really where you're going to be diving in, but maybe you're an account that has, a modest to large following on Twitter and you want to try and get in touch to become a hero yourself. I'll tell you a little bit about that briefly so that you can be informed all around regardless of your situation, and then I'll sign off here soon. So why be a hero, you might be asking? Why would you want to opt into that, which is actually something that they've launched recently, is opting into the hero program? Well, there's a few different reasons. Again, remember being incentive aligned where it really makes sense. So for heroes, one of the cool things is that they actually introduce this basically like UI generation where you can click. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, it's for when you're in a tournament. There's none going on right now, but basically you can tweet out your lineup that you've started and it pings all of the people that are in your lineup on Twitter with some kind of like call to action or like some kind of call out, which has been really good for their mainstream adoption because it's both like it's basically like free advertising, and people see the UI of the app and they ask, it's literally a meme, like, what app is this? And so that's drawn huge user adoption from people like Ansem, from just people that I can think of. Block Graze is on it, Gout is on it, just some big accounts that have been like even shilling their referral links and trying to get people to join the game. So there's this like feedback loop, but what's in it for the heroes? Well, let's look at me. Why not? Just to take a look here. So I'm a hero on Fantasy. I might have already said this, 240 I think heroes currently, and I'm sure that will maybe inflate as the game kind of progresses and everything. But think about that: 30 to 40,000 users and only 240 heroes. I feel privileged to be a part of this, right? As you know, a smaller account myself with 6,000 followers, but if I do say so myself, some solid posting of late. So a good start in these last few tournaments. So what do heroes get out of this? Well, they actually receive 1.5% of all of the ETH that's traded on their card, right? So for me, since March 20th, when Fantasy version 2 dropped, that would mean that if this was real, if this was like on mainnet, I would have earned 3.5 ETH, which is, over like probably $10,000-$12,000, somewhere in there, that I would have earned just passively by my card being traded. Which, even if you compare to Elon bucks, right, which you earn for generating over 1.5 million views a month for 3 months straight, that just would blow out of the water. It wouldn't even come close. But even if you were to, even if you were to take 1/10 of this as being true carrying over to mainnet, like this would be 0.35 ETH. I mean, that would be like $1,000 that I've earned in like 20 days. So I mean, a great way to supplement your income. There are people that will make more like in a salary from Fantasy just from their card being traded and continuing to do what they're already doing, tweeting. There will be a good number of those people. I hope to be one of them. That would be epic. So yeah, that's just an awesome thing. And then I also think that you earn some percentage of fan point inflation. I don't exactly know how that works, but you're going to earn fan points, maybe fan tokens in turn from being a hero as well. And you're also going to periodically get a chance to mint your own card. So if your card, right, was selling for a certain amount of ETH, you would actually be able to mint it and sell it off or add it to your lineup if you were just producing, regular bangers. So that's a good thing to know. For instance, with my card here, you can take a look at all of the different transactions. 10 hours ago, 1.5 ETH transactions. Again, now this is not real. ETH, but still, if that were to be the case, that would be something like 0.03, 0.04, somewhere in there ETH that I just earned as the 1.5%. Just from my cards being traded in that way. So again, even if that was like 10%, it's going to add up over time. I've seen some people estimate that prices on mainnet maybe will be 20 to 30% of the testnet, but I think we really just have to wait and let the market decide. And so really then just the last thing is that I think that with this hero incentives that are in place, it's going to make these big accounts like an Ansem, a Leonidas, probably not a Hayden, but still Block Grays, these shit posters, these big Twitter personalities that are kind of non-corporate, they're going to have every reason to plug fantasy to get people onboarded, to get people in the game so that they can earn passively from their cards being traded. And like I said, them just continuing to do what they're already doing. That's going to be a great onboarding mechanism that fantasy is going to get, not for free, but for 1.5% of the revenues going back to these posters, which is just an awesome, awesome thing. And I think it's going to be a great flywheel effect. And then users are not kind of screwed in that way, right? Their posters are going to be incentivized in turn to keep on doing what they're already doing, to be successful so that they can keep on earning more and more of these revenues, this rev sharing in turn. So man, guys, that's just exciting stuff. Like this is just what the deal is going to be soon. So if I was you and you were starting off new, I would say if you haven't already, make a Testnet account. It won't hurt you even if there's no more tournaments. And if there are, you want to be in them to earn as many fantasy points as you can before we go to mainnet. Scour the marketplace. There's a lot of different filters that you can do here to try and get ones that are in your price range, right? Like if you were me and you only had 0.45 ETH, right now I would be looking at a Dan Robinson. And guys, I could take you through more of my strategy of how I look at the marketplace, of how I try to put together lineups and everything. Here's the thing. If it doesn't go to mainnet soon, or even if it does, my next video long form that I have planned is to go through my strategy for how I look at the marketplace and for how I've been putting together my lineups. And so I'll plan to do that sometime soon to bring you guys that too, but I'm already long-winded enough, so we'll just cut it at this beginner's guide for today. So here's the last thing that I'll say. I really recommend that you make an account. How do you do that? Well, you're going to go to just Fantasy.Top and you'll be able to get to the kind of main page and log in through your Twitter. What you're going to do after you connect and you have to follow the account of the main fantasy Twitter is you will go through and you'll need a referral code. No worries. I've got 9,999. I don't know if that's actually real, but I've got a lot to give out. And I've already given out 62. I would love for you to use mine. My code is just 𝐁𝐄𝐆𝐈𝐃𝐄, spelled just like my Twitter handle. And if you throw that in there, it'll help you, it'll help me. I'll get a percentage of your fantasy points and you'll be able to play fantasy and refer people with your own codes so that you can get a share of their fan points and then 3% of their referrals fan points in turn. So you can see these are all of the different people that I've referred. And for instance, Empty, I don't even know this man. This guy has a big account on Twitter. Shout out to Empty, dude, you rock. He's gotten me 42,000 fan points, both by his competing in tournaments, but also by the users that he's referred. He's referred 12 people? And so I've been getting 3% of their points as well. So that's just epic, and it's a great incentive for you to get your friends playing as well. So if you can get yourself on Testnet with my referral code, I recommend it. And then if you can get your friends on with your referral code, then you can start earning even more fan points or maybe fan tokens when we get to the real game here. So, and maybe you've already been playing and you just wanted to get a better sense of the game and you've already got some fan points earned, and you can start shilling your referral code as hard as you can so that we can all secure generational wealth from Fantasy.Top. That, my friends, is the real goal here. So guys, I hope that this was a helpful overview. I know that I've been rambly at points and that this has been a long video, but really you guys should have everything that you need. I've basically gone through, I hope, every feature, every facet of fantasy so that you know. The only thing that's a little bit tricky is that we didn't get to take a look in depth at tournaments because there's none that are running right now. But still, I think that you'll have everything in your noggin now to be able to get in and mess around so that whenever there's the next tournament on Testnet or on mainnet, which, man, that would be exciting, you'll be able to dive in, be successful, have a lot of fun, and I hope have some real profit potential from what I think is just going to be a great app, and to me is going to dominate Blast and dominate the timeline here soon. I think that they're going to call this Social-Fi Summer. We have Friend.Tech's airdrop coming soon. We have Fantasy launching soon. We have Farcaster that's doing super well, and you can farm degen there. Guys, if you're not doing this stuff, It's not capital intensive, and I have a feeling that fantasy, if you're good enough, might not even be capital intensive. And if you do have capital to deploy, it could be potentially lucrative. So I recommend that. And most of all, guys, I recommend logging in with my referral code, cozymaximalist. Guys, that's all I've really got for you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to me drone on here. It's been a ton of fun. I love talking about fantasy because I genuinely enjoy playing, but I also am excited about the potential going forward. So I'm going to stop there, but guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day, whatever day you're listening to this, and I look forward to seeing you soon on mainnet in the trenches on fantasy. Have a great day, guys.